evening. I call the City Council public hearing on November 19th, 2024 to order. Please stand. Bow your heads for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Council Walker, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councillor Credo.
Present.
Councillor DeGeoffroy.
Present.
Councillor Horn.
Here.
Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Councillor Fontenot.
Present.
Councillor Herman.
Present.
Councillor Carolean. Excused. Councillor Richardson.
Present.
Councillor Sullivan.
Present.
Councillor Turner.
Present.
Councillor Walker.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Hammond.
Present.
And Mayor Callahan.
Present. Thank you. Okay. We'll have an introduction by Kay Wright on our 2026 action plan. And then if there's any public comment, you come up after.
Hello, my name is Kay Wright. I am the city's community development coordinator. I just have a brief introduction on the city's fiscal year 26 action plan, as well as the fiscal year 2025 to 2030 consolidated plan. This is the first of two hearings that we will have for this. The second hearing will be available, or will happen in the spring of next year, so 2025. That will happen after the draft is available for citizens and city councilors to read. So just the introduction, the City of Rochester's Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program, is funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, and has been managed by the Community Development Division. The program aims to assist low and moderate income residents of the City of Rochester through funding social services, economic development initiatives, low-income housing rehabilitation, and public facilities projects. As part of the program, the City of Rochester distributes sub-grants to nonprofits and other organizations that perform work related to the city's CDBG goals. Every year, the city must prepare and submit an action plan to HUD, and that lays out how the city will use the grant funds for the upcoming program year beginning July 1, 2025. In addition to the annual action plan every 5 years, the city must prepare and submit a 5-year consolidated plan that lays out the city's goals and strategic priorities. The city's next 5-year plan, consolidated plan, will begin on July 1, 2025. So this process will start going forward. What we do is, because the annual action plan is included for that first year, is included in the consolidated plan, we combine the public hearings. It just makes everything easier, makes everything more streamlined. Current funded activities for the program include running of one of the regional's homeless shelters, Crossroads House, high school equivalency testing preparation services from Dover Adult Learning Center, rental assistance programs for low-income residents, funding for meal delivery services for elderly and disabled adults, supportive services for homeless youth and and young adults by Waypoint, housing rehabilitation and public facilities projects funded through CDBG during FY24 have included community action partnerships of Stratford County's weatherization assistance programs for low and moderate income homeowners, as well as window blind replacements at Rochester Child Care Center and building improvements to East Rochester Library. Additional information on the city's CDBG program and current and future planned activities can be found on the city's Community Development Division webpage. You can find that online through the Economic Development page. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to me directly. Okay, right.
Thank you. Do any councilors have questions for our community development coordinator? We're hearing none. The public may come if there's any public input regarding this public hearing on the CDBG money. Okay, hearing none, I close the public hearing and move on to a call to order the City Council workshop on November 19th, 2024. I call the meeting to order, and we'll move right on to public input. And if the public has any comments, please come up, state your name and address, and you're limited to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol Petrosevich. Thanks for welcoming me back. I ran over my time last month, so I had to come back to finish my speech. All right, so in conclusion, Constitution Day is a great reminder for us to frequently return to the fundamental principles that makes Rochester and America great. Thank you for being a part of making Rochester great. I know tonight we're going to be talking about, I think the building, maybe Catholic Charities is going to be taking over, maybe building some housing there. I just want to make sure if that's what the plan is, and I haven't been able to look through the whole itemization for tonight. Just, is there a way that we can make sure that it's not going to be for illegal housing? It's very important to make sure that Rochester does not become a city for illegals. So that's my question. Thank you. Have a great night.
I know you don't usually interrupt, but do you have a constitutional day that you want to let the council and public know about?
The Constitutional Day was September 17th.
Okay, so you're going to have it in 2025?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Tom Kaczynski from Whitehall Road and State Representative for District 5, who never voted to raise taxes for his constituents. And perhaps that's part of the reason why I got reelected, and I'm happy to represent the citizens of Ward 1. So last month, I had the good fortune to go to St. Anselm's College for an event there, and it was a prestigious award. They give out awards for First Amendment, for people that defend the First Amendment. And it just so happens it's somebody that I know, Harrison Thorpe from the Rochester Voice. And this is an award that has only been given in its history to maybe 20 people. So what they did a nice little presentation of him right in front of City Hall, some video, and he described the case where he fought against the city of Rochester because he's been denied information. He's been denied information because he wasn't a citizen of Rochester. Now, I don't know if I've talked about this before. I don't know any news sources where you check out the citizenship of the journalists before you give them information, but maybe it was somebody didn't like him for some reason or his politics, I don't know. But he represented himself against the city, against our crack legal team here, and he won. And it was a landmark case. So I hope that maybe you could put any petty baloney aside and follow the court and give this man information. And I think you'll find, like my father used to say, you get more with honey than with vinegar. Now, I was looking at the menu for this evening, and I see that so Catholic Charities is going to give a presentation. And again, as a citizen, you know, citizens at a disadvantage, you can't listen to the presentation and comment, so you can only anticipate things. And you know, it's low-income housing. I actually had a bet with somebody that they were going to get this property. I know it was supposed to be a worldwide search for bidders for this, but seeing the politics around here, I kind of figured which way it was going. And for information purposes, I'm a Catholic. I'm a practicing Catholic. And I used to give a good amount of money to Catholic Charities. But when I found out their involvement with the government, I stopped. So, Catholic Charities has a high involvement in this country with resettling illegal aliens. Illegal aliens. You could call them newcomers, new Americans, whatever the current way to smooth it out is, but they're illegal aliens. People that when they come in this country, the first act they do is break the law. So they're criminals. Everyone is a criminal. It's the law. You're not supposed to just walk in this country. So when I see that this development is going to happen here, I would hope the representative bring this out, that's going to speak about it, or one of our city councilors ask the question, and it's simple. Will you guarantee that there will be no illegal aliens living in this complex? Is that fair? I think the citizens, if you asked your constituents, they wouldn't want that to be the case, to have illegal aliens here. And maybe it won't happen, but ask it. I'd like to know. And the other question, I see this is affordable housing. And just knowing how the government works, you know, really, is this is affordable? Well, I guess it depends on how you structure things. So there's funding sources here, and there's a big list of them, and yet you would think maybe the people that contributed Catholic Charities were paying for this, but apparently there's a lot of government sources here, such as tax credits and various subsidies. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'd like it explained. When somebody gets a tax credit, the way I look at it, somebody else has got to pay more, like some of these giveaways that go on in the city where somebody gets a break, somebody's got to make up the difference. And subsidies in general, the government doesn't make, well, they do print money, but I mean, they don't.
You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Susan Rice, 10 Rod Road. About a year ago, it was my understanding that an RFP was solicited for the Old Dover Road property. And it's my understanding that 2 RFPs were actually received, one by Catholic Charities and one by the Rochester Housing Authority. I had the distinct pleasure of attending the ZBA meeting last Wednesday evening, where Catholic Charities all of a sudden appeared on the agenda for a variance. And they were denied. They asked for 83 units where only 80 units were allowed. Kudos to the ZBA for actually doing their job. So that prompted another question. And several of you ran on a platform of transparency. I did a 91A, and our city attorney promptly complied, and I asked for the purchase and sales agreement, which he promptly gave me. And it was for $500,000 to Catholic Charities. So much for transparency, because I went back through and I tried to find in the minutes where you actually voted on that. Can't find it. Guess it was done in non-public session. Transparency. So then I looked through the packet, and what struck a big nerve with me was their signage. It looks like the signs that are used in Massachusetts for their towns. So now my little quip to the mayor is, you supported Kelly Ayotte for her run for governor of our wonderful state. And she came up with a really cute quote of, "Don't mess up New Hampshire." And we all know that there's a particular person who basically supports Catholic Charities. So are you going to support Don't Mess Up New Hampshire, Don't Mess Up New Hampshire, or are you supporting Catholic Charities? Now, my second part to all of this conversation is that there has been no public input on the use of the Old Dover Road property. And I've talked to a lot of people who have come into my store, and I'm going to use the V word, which is variety. There's a lot of people who come in and they talk to me, and I say, what are your goals and aspirations? A lot of these people have been born and raised in Rochester, and they want to stay here. They might have a child or two. They're living in 1- and 2-bedroom apartments. The American dream. Apple pie, Chevrolet, and a white picket fence. They can attain the apple pie. They can make it. They can buy a Chevrolet and drive it, but they cannot afford a small home. I had a conversation with then city manager Blaine Cox one afternoon in his office. It was a very interesting conversation. And I said, the one thing that I see within the city is that we overlook building smaller homes. the ranches, the capes, the split levels. I said, kind of like down on Chassis Street and down along through there in some of those neighborhoods. I said, it gives our younger people that next bridge for home ownership in their dream. So I ask you, any of you ever thought about that? We have stack and pack all over this city. We have projects that have been completed, we have projects that are in the works, and we have projects that are on the books. But I find very few of the single-family starter homes for that next generation coming up. And maybe there could be 30 or 32 homes put on that roughly 14 acres down there. We might not get as much money for it. Had another idea, make a deal with one of the local developers so that the land costs come down. Look at the town of Chester many years ago. They did something very interesting with a piece of property. A developer came in, and they did the starter homes, and they put some income restrictions on it, and they had something in there that you couldn't turn around and flip that house for so many years. You had to live there. And I'm just going to throw out there, it was like 4 or 5 years. And then they also put a cap on how much you could actually profit off from that so that it stayed affordable. And I'm just thinking of other alternatives that could be used instead of the stack and pack that certain people seem to want for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public input? Hearing none, move on to communications from the city manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have 3 submissions of online public input this evening. The first is from Mary on Dry Hill Road. The subject is Willen Warming Center. The second is from Jacqueline on 594 Salmon Falls Road. The subject is Rochester Homeless. And the third is from Shannon at 15 Friendship Street. Subject is Willen Road Warming Center. I have 3 items for you this evening under my report. The first is that I wanted to share that city staff recently participated in a voluntary food drive for the Rochester Housing Authority's Thanksgiving baskets that concluded last week. Employees embraced the holiday season, and the final totals were quite impressive. For example, just a few of the donations included 52 boxes of stuffing, 100 pounds of potatoes, and 96 cans of green beans. And dozens of local families will be impacted by our staff's generosity. A big thank you goes to Nicole Rodler and police, Maria Busuito Lima and fire, Deputy CAO Conley, and the Human Resources Department for coordinating this effort. The second item I have for you is that the demolition of the former Nancy Loud School started this week, and last week's neighborhood listening session on the future park at the property was very productive. Many counselors were there that evening as well. An engaging presentation was led by Recreation Director Lauren Kranz and moderated by Matt Wyatt, and focused on the current phase 1 of the park, which includes a new playground behind the pool, a new basketball court, 2 pavilions, walking trails, open space, new trees, and a parking lot. We took note of the additional creative ideas and considerations that were made, including possibly eliminating the parking lot and adding lighting instead, as well as many other considerations that staff are reviewing. The event was a collaborative effort between departments, and we had staff representatives present from planning, finance, recreation, and community development. Next steps for the park project will be updating the design, reviewing revisions and timeline with a contractor, updating the project scope, cost, and applicable phasing, and then a planning board informational session is being planned for February timeframe is what we're looking at. So more to come soon now that we're incorporating that input from last week. And finally, our Economic Development Department just launched a new collaborative initiative to help streamline commercial development and strengthen Rochester's reputation as a business-friendly community. New pre-certificate of occupancy meetings are in effect, which are called pre-CO meetings, and which the format of these meetings is that we provide a checklist and a collaborative session with city staff from multiple departments in the final months leading to a project's completion. This proactive approach allows developers to review any outstanding items well in advance of final inspections, which will then minimize last-minute surprises and help promote a more seamless opening for their business or their project. Jen Marsh and Economic Development put a lot of work into creating this innovative offering for larger projects in the city, which aims to simplify the development process by working closely with developers and business owners on project completion. We actually just had our first pre-CO meeting for the charitable gaming project, and the feedback on the experience was very positive. So far it's going over very well. There's also a great piece that Jen Marsh and Matt Wyatt put together on the Rochester Post with more information on this effort, and I encourage you all to take a look. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Communications from the mayor, Madam City Manager. That was a very impressive report. I liked how the staff is working with the community, getting input. Very nice, very nice, very nice report. You can see that downtown Rochester starting to look a little festive. They were putting up, Public Works put up the Christmas tree, so you see up the lights downtown and decorations going up pretty soon. Just a reminder that we'll do the tree lighting on December 6th. It'll be obviously in front of the Possett Main statue. That's a really nice event. I believe it's 5:30? Yeah, 5:30 is put on by the chamber. And then that Sunday, well, 3 p.m., we'll have the 4 p.m. Thanks for correcting me. 4 p.m. we'll have the Christmas parade, and you're all welcome to attend. You can march as a city council on that, so it'll be a good event. One more thing, as far as interesting, yes, I did proudly support Kelly Ayotte. I've been a friend of hers for 25 plus years, and it's kind of interesting. We're talking about, we're going to hear a presentation today about affordable housing. She's been in Rochester about 10 times. She came to and visit some of our affordable housing units. It was here recently for a groundbreaking in one of the affordable housing units. And she went to one of the debates they had that was publicized. And they asked both candidates, how are you going to improve affordable housing? And the Democratic candidate went first, and she followed up with, hey, I just came from a groundbreaking ceremony in Rochester on affordable housing unit. I'm going to implement the Rochester model. You had the federal government there, you had the state government there, you had the local government there, and you had private contractors there all working together to make this work. I'm going to follow the Rochester model throughout the state. So that's where we stand on affordable housing. On a smaller note here, I heard it's David Walker's birthday today, if that's true. I guess by the reaction, it is true. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
How old are you, by the way? No, you're not telling me. Too old. Okay. Well, thank you, and congratulations. All right, so I'll turn it over to the presentations of Catholic Charities of New Hampshire, 4412 Dover Road. The project will be, you'll hear from Director Scala possibly, and Jeff Lepowich, who's the Executive Director of the Real Estate and Development for Catholic Charities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm Mike Scala, Director of Economic Development. And this is Jeff Lefkovich. He's the Executive Director for Real Estate and Housing Development for Catholic Charities of New Hampshire. We just thought it was a good time to update and kind of describe the project that has been in the works for a while. It was previously approved by the previous council. So where we had such a turnover, you all haven't been as kind of updated along the way as you should have been, because we're reaching some milestones with the demolition of the DPW building, which is well along the way and should be completed fairly soon, which is like one of the first steps. And so we thought it was a good time for Jeff to come up here and kind of give you the details on what they're proposing, what it would entail, and answer some of the questions that, come up from time to time. And, Economic Development supports this. It's a great project. It really kind of addresses our need for affordable housing, which is, throughout the state, but, Rochester especially. We've been doing very, very well in our affordable housing development. And we're very excited about this project. So I'll present to you Jeff Lefkovich.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to present. So I appreciate the comments from residents. I certainly acknowledge their concerns. My mission tonight is to educate. I may not necessarily win everyone over, but I will certainly explain the truth behind this project. I plan on providing facts that hopefully will be dispelling some misconceptions and misunderstanding. You're familiar with Catholic Charities. We're one of the state's largest nonprofit social service organizations. We operate St. Charles School here in downtown. Our district office is also downtown adjacent. We operate St. Anne's Health Center in Dover. We operate the New Hampshire Food Bank. We have a statewide social service counseling program, in addition to veterans housing in Manchester. And we also have a housing program for young mothers and their children. So I am going to provide details about this project.
Of course, I just want to interrupt you a little bit. You mentioned that you're here representing Catholic Charities.
Yes.
But it's really Catholic Charities of New Hampshire, correct?
Catholic Charities of New
Manchester
Hampshire.
Diocese. And that's not Catholic Charities International.
No, not at all.
Okay, make sure that's a big miscommunication for folks.
It is. So, and I'm glad you brought that up. So, yes, I represent Catholic Charities New Hampshire. We have no affiliation with any other Catholic charities from any of the other states. They are all individual entities. They all have their own programs and their own missions. I'm going to tell you right now, we have absolutely nothing to do with quote-unquote illegal aliens or bringing people that are not legal into the state. That's not what we do. And this housing project has nothing to do with that also. I'm going to describe who is eligible and who is not. So I wanted to start by explaining that when we started working on this project, we wanted to approach it from the standpoint that we wanted to align the planning and the design and the management with the city council's goals. We wanted to understand those goals and those priorities and design around that. We wanted to respond to community needs, particularly the employer needs, companies that have been trying to recruit and retain employees without those employees having to travel long distances, and also to respond to the needs of those who are vulnerable and disadvantaged. So we started from there. I want to just speak about, everybody has this misunderstanding about what affordability is. When we talk about affordability when it comes to someone's home, we're talking about the cost of that housing and the utilities not being any more than 30% of an individual's or a household's income. More than 50% of people who rent are paying well over 30% of their income going to their housing costs. And they also don't have control over the escalation of those housing costs. That is not the case here. We started off, as you can see, everybody's familiar with the former Public Works facility. The property consists of the Public Works facility as well as the softball field adjacent. Our proposal is to transform this into a beautiful, well-designed community enhancement in which we have the 80 units as far back as we can, conforming to conservation requirements and so forth, and having a large green space in front. So we plan on transforming this into something that we hope that the city and its residents will be proud of. The building is L-shaped. I guess in golf terms, it would be a dogleg. But what I wanted to point out was the center core of the building. This is what is going to house public meeting spaces, fitness center, bike storage, some offices. And I'm bringing this to your attention because I met with a couple of the representatives of the men's softball field who were concerned that they were going to lose the ball field. And I assured them that the opposite is true. We're going to do everything we can to support the men's softball field, the league, the field itself, and their desire to try to make better use, more use of that field. We'll do what we can to support that. One of which will be providing, I showed you the layout of that meeting space. This is the back of the meeting space. I told the gentleman that I met with that we will make the space available to the league. When the league wants to meet, they can use this space. I asked them, where are they using, what do they use now for meeting spaces? Whose ever home is available. So this space is going to be available for community groups who need space, particularly the men's softball league. We want to be part of the community, and we want to make it available to the community. Will the property pay taxes? Of course, the property will pay taxes. We will enter into a pilot agreement with the city based on the number of units and the types of units. Will the residences be open to everyone regardless of faith and background? And the answer is yes, but they must be U.S. citizens, and they must have verifiable qualifying income. No exceptions. Who sets the rents and qualifying income limits? That's the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We don't set the rates, we don't set the rents or the income limits. Who monitors quality, safety, performance of the property? A number of organizations, the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, the tax credit investors, which typically are banks and insurance companies who have community reinvestment targets. That's who the investors are. And they're not looking for anything more, they don't get anything more than a dollar-for-dollar reduction in their taxes, as well as they get the depreciation on the buildings. That's it. It's not the type of an investor that typically will put their money into a real estate project and look for high returns. That's not what this is about. It's not a revenue, profit-generating endeavor. It is a community service is what it is. But there's more. There's a number of regulatory agencies and policies, regulations that govern how these communities operate and how they're managed. I won't go through them, but there's a lot. There's a lot of regulation to make sure that we're doing it right, that we're complying with the law, and the people who are moving in are eligible to move in. The application process itself is lengthy and it's deep. I won't go through all of these, but this is the list of items that are researched, investigated, verified, and certified to make sure that the people who are eligible to move in can move in. Again, they have to be U.S. citizens. They have to have verifiable income. This community also provides enriched services. So in addition to the on-site property manager, occupancy specialist, there'll be what we call a resident service coordinator. This is unique. This is a person who is available, in this case for 80 units, 15 hours a week on-site. So if there's a resident or a family in need of something, let's say you've got a single parent with a couple of kids, and they need to figure out childcare services. That resident service coordinator will help them with that. If it's an older couple that is in need of support or access to resources, that resident service coordinator will help them with that. So it's an extra layer of support to not only bring the community itself together, but to help individuals as well as families. This is part of what will be available. For those individuals who are earning at very low incomes, and I'm going to go over the income bands in a moment, there is a supportive service coordinator that will also be available. This person will be providing case management to individuals who need that extra help It's obviously private and confidential. They help with financial and housing problems, and to make sure that the individual or the family are living in safe conditions. I want to talk about how do we achieve affordability with housing, and it comes from the way that they are financed. Yes, it does involve low-income housing tax credits, which is a program that comes from the IRS. The IRS determines the amount of funds or tax credits that go to each state based on the population of the state. The New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority is the administrator of those tax credits. They allocate those tax credits to selected projects that meet very stringent requirements. There's two programs. There's a 4% tax credit program and a 9% tax credit program. And it provides equity, again, from these financial insurance institutions that represent 30 to 60% of the project cost. We also have access to tax-exempt bonds and conventional debt, which could also amount to 15 to 30%. There is capital support that is generally available through the Housing Authority, which help with reducing the debt on the property. There's grants that we apply for. We, as the developer, provide a sponsor loan to also help with financing the project. This is a no-interest loan to the project. We also defer fees. So the fees that we get for being the developer and sponsor of the project, we defer those fees over a 15-year period. The project will support a range of incomes. The area median income for this geographic area, which includes Rochester and Portsmouth, is $131,200, and that's based on a family of 4. So 55 units, for an 80-unit project, 55 units will be set aside for individuals or families earning 60% of that area median income. I'm going to show you what those salaries, what those incomes look like in the next slide. 8 units will be set aside for those earning up to 50% of the area median income. 8 units will be set aside for those who are in a real vulnerable state, who are earning 30% of area median income. And then another 9 units will be market rate units. That helps us to make the project sustainable. 39% of the units will be 1-bedroom, 36% of the units will be 2-bedroom, 25% of the units will be 3-bedroom. This is a little bit hard to see, but this is a chart that comes from HUD. And what it shows is the income limits based on that 60% AMI, 50% AMI, and 30% AMI. And it's based on 1, 2, 3, 4-person households. So I mentioned before that the area median income is $131,200 based on a family of 4. On this chart, if you look at the 60% line, 4-person, that's a household income of $78,720. That qualifies you for one of this units set aside at 60%. So again, U.S. citizen, you have to be working. If you're retired, you obviously have to show income, and it's all verified. The application process is very lengthy to ensure that we've got a safe community. I just have a couple of slides left. I just want to reiterate the point. Who's going to live here? It could be any of us. It could be our children. It could be our parents. It could be kids starting out. It's not illegal aliens. It's people who live in the community, people who want to live in the community. It's people that local companies are trying to recruit and retain. This is who will be living there. This is just, I think this is my final slide, give you an idea of a rather conservative forecast timeline. So my hope is that we're going to have our local and state approvals by the first quarter of 2025. Financing applications I'll be filing with the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority second quarter of next year. We don't find out about the allocation until the end of 2025. We plan on closing, hopefully close on the construction financing by the second quarter of 2026. With this type of housing, it's a very complicated process, and it's a lengthy process. Groundbreaking second quarter 2026, and then we start moving people in fourth quarter 2028. So because for a project like this, you're probably looking at 18 months. Although I do have a project going up now, a 96-unit project in Peterborough. We're actually a month ahead of schedule on that, so that's going very well. Can I answer any questions?
Yeah. Any questions for Mr. Lebovich? Councilor Sullivan, then Councilor Fontenot.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Well, first, thank you for the presentation. I echo some of the things that the mayor said and Director Scala. I think Rochester's probably leading the way on affordable housing, if not in the whole state, definitely in this part of the state. So I think it's great. I had some questions about the income-based apartments. If this is just a couple, they're all related. Is there any difference in the units between the 60, 50, 30?
No,
They're all the same.
they're all the same.
What happens when a resident's income goes above the threshold? So do they have to move out? Do they move up to one of the other units? Okay, so it's just, they can stay there while they're there.
What could actually happen is that 30% can go to 27%. Because obviously what we're trying to do is give these people, these individuals and families, the ability to move their lives forward.
Yeah, I have just one last question again. I tried to do some calculations on that. I mean, you said it's capped at 30% of household income. The number in there for one person was 55 at the 60, so 55,000. That works out to be about 33,000 a year. Divided by 12 months is like almost 3,000 a month. That was like 2,750.
No.
That's what I'm asking. Do you have some concept of what the rents will be from there's the range?
I really can't at this point, only because we're still working on those, and because we're talking about not moving people in until 2028 possibly, those rates change.
Okay.
Good question, thank you. Councilor Fontenot.
Thank you. Two things, I guess. One follow-up on Councilor Sullivan's questions is that rental amount, does that include utilities, heat and electricity?
There is a utility allowance. So the rent actually is decreased by the utility allowance.
So it's factored into that percentage anyway.
It drops it, yes.
So that's an important thing.
It is.
In today's world. And the other question I had was, so 80 units, quite a few units in a single complex. Do you have on-site management there?
Yes, there will be on-site management, yeah.
Thank you.
Good questions. Anybody else? All right, hearing none. I just want to say that was an excellent presentation. It's a beautiful building, and I support the concept. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if you're ready, we have our new superintendent of schools, although I wouldn't say new that much anymore. We've been about 6 months, right? Annie Anazola. Azaloza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Manager Ambrose, Madam City Clerk, and City Council members. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to present Rochester School District's sustainable, transformative approach to supporting our youth, our staff, and our community. These are our objectives for tonight. We are moving away from short-term fixes and into long-term planning for how we can build a safer, more vibrant district aligned with our 5-year strategic plan. These funds provide flexibility to comprehensively address student wellness, behavior, and academic needs. The dual settlement funds serve as a catalyst for change, allowing us to confront behavioral, mental health, and wellness challenges focused on growth. Each dollar is carefully allocated to align with settlement guidelines and our district's mission, ensuring responsible, transparent use with measurable benefits for our students. Clearly, the funding criteria allows some flexibility in using the funds to address issues related to youth vaping, nicotine addiction, and focus efforts that will mitigate the impacts of these issues in schools and communities. I'd like us to focus on our strategic plan that was just adopted in August by our school board. It's a 5-year strategic plan. Our district strategic goals challenge us to think beyond the present and build a strong foundation for future generations. There are 6 focus areas: advancing educational outcomes, clear communication and collaboration with our community, our staff, and our children, a positive school climate, a growth-focused environment that attracts committed educators and retains them, wellness for children and staff, and security, emergency systems, and facility improvements. I'll outline each investment to show its direct connections to these priorities. It's important to note that through engaging discussions with our Educator Advisory Council and Family and Community Engagement Roundtable, we identified what's working well in our schools and where we have meaningful opportunities for improvement. Last month, we used our strategic cabinet meeting with our principals to learn their building level needs. This collaborative approach ensures that our budget aligns closely with the needs and aspirations of our community. I'll start with driving academic outcomes and fostering health and wellness. We recently hired a positive youth development director, and our investment in this position has already shown positive impacts. This field-based role provides real-time support to principals and staff, helping scholars make positive choices and leading to fewer conflicts and behavioral referrals, a key contributor to a more respectful atmosphere across all of our schools. Sorry, I went too far. Wellness instructors are central to our commitment to health and wellness, creating safe spaces where children can manage emotions and teachers are supported. Wellness rooms ease the burden on teachers to address every emotional issue, making our district a supportive environment that values children's and educators' wellness. By embedding wellness district-wide, we are sending a powerful message that mental health matters. A grant writer is more than a fundraiser. It's a force multiplier for opportunities that shape the futures of our youth. With their expertise, we can secure funding for vital after-school programming like tutoring, enrichment, and post-secondary readiness initiatives. These are not just nice-to-haves. They're lifelines, engaging our children in constructive activities that steer them away from risky behaviors and toward positive, transformative growth. We'll turn now to our 2 other focus areas in our strategic plan: strengthening culture and climate, and acquiring and retaining top talent. Culture and climate specialists enable a consistent district-wide approach to behavior management and student support. With high standards of respect and accountability in every classroom, children gain a clear sense of expectations, fostering security and respect across all schools. These specialists proactively addressing challenges, driving positive change, and building a respectful, inclusive environment for all. Our instructional coaches are experienced educators who partner with teachers to support professional growth and improve classroom practices. Unlike one-time workshops, coaching is ongoing and tailored to individual needs. Coaches model actionable strategies for immediate classroom application, making professional development much more impactful. Research shows that schools with instructional coaches see improved teaching practices in over 90% of teachers and end up to a 20-point increase in student achievement. That same grant writer previously mentioned, can also identify and pursue funding opportunities for programs that strengthen school culture and build a sense of community. This includes funding for initiatives such as student clubs, mentorship programs, and community building events, all of which help children feel more connected and engaged in their school. Our next focus area is cultivating collaboration and effective communication with our staff and our community, and of course, our children. The Family and Community Engagement Director is not just a role. It's a bridge connecting schools, families, and our entire community in our shared commitment to student success. This role goes beyond communication, fostering relationships that make families feel valued and engaged. When families are connected, they become active partners in their children's education, amplifying our collective impact on scholar outcomes. And that same grant writer can also secure funds for family engagement programs like workshops, parent academies, and school events. They can also help fund translation services, communication tools, and family liaisons who can connect with families individually. These liaisons help families understand school expectations and access resources. High-quality educators are drawn to districts that prioritize comprehensive support for children and for staff. By investing in behavioral management and family engagement roles, we demonstrate our commitment to whole student support and innovative approaches, making our district appealing to talented educators. These roles reinforce that our educators are not alone. They have a dedicated network to support them. We're going to move to our final focus area in our strategic plan, which is enhancing facilities and security. Our investment in security cameras across schools enhances security by allowing comprehensive monitoring of high traffic areas, entrances, and exits. This improves campus security and supports a safe environment for children and staff. The presence of cameras fosters a sense of security for youth, staff, and families, giving families peace of mind that safety will always be our top priority. Our investment in vape detectors proactively supports scholars' health and well-being. This measure underscores our commitment to a safe, substance-free environment and our responsibility to protect our youth from health risks. Our investment in police-compatible two-way radios ensures seamless, real-time communication with first responders in emergencies, enabling swift, coordinated responses. This technology allows immediate actions like lockdowns or evacuations, crucial for safety when every second matters. And that same grant writer can help us enhance facility safety, functionality by securing funding for infrastructure needs and environmental improvements. From energy efficiency, outdoor learning spaces, and air quality upgrades, these grants reduce reliance on general funds. Building a grant pipeline allows us to maintain and improve our facilities sustainably, which is crucial in a tax cap city. Our approach to the Juul settlement funds is balanced and impactful. Over 20% supports physical safety upgrades, while the rest of the fund's high-impact roles focus on student wellness, behavior, and learning. These dedicated staff members provide essential daily support, while security upgrades like cameras and vape detectors offer round-the-clock protection. Why are we allocating more of these funds to high-impact roles? In our district, salaries make up about 73% of our budget, which is well below the typical 80 to 85% in most schools, indicating that we are operating with a relatively lean staff. Even with a successful contract negotiation this year, we would still fall well short of the staffing levels seen in similar districts, placing extra demands on staff and impacting classroom and school culture. Adequate budget allocation is essential to providing the well-rounded support our scholars deserve beyond the basics. This isn't about hitting an arbitrary percentage. It's about recognizing that to truly elevate our youth, we must first elevate our commitment to the people who guide them. A stronger Rochester. Imagine the impact of building a solid foundation where teachers have the support to manage challenging behaviors, where children are engaged in after-school programming, and where a climate of respect and wellness permeates every school. This approach is not only fiscally responsible, it's smart, sustainable investment in our long-term vision for a stronger Rochester. Our next steps would be to approve and post these positions with a start date of our next school year or earlier in service of providing increased supports in schools and increased supports for our educators. And the byproduct of this vision is a healthier, safer, and stronger community with better outcomes for our children. Tonight, I've outlined a forward-thinking plan, one that challenges us to break away from quick fixes and instead invest in the future of this district, that focuses on the long term. This isn't just a plan for today, it's a roadmap to transformative change that will benefit every child, every educator, and every family in this community. Our district can be a model of excellence, a district to watch, where every educator is empowered, every child engaged, and every resource is purposely aligned to create a ripple effect of positive outcomes. But achieving this vision requires us to put our resources into the people who stand before our children every day and into the systems that ensure they have the best possible chance to succeed. This isn't just about filling positions or buying equipment. It's about setting a foundation for excellence that will carry us forward for years to come. It's about seeing every role, every resource, and every dollar as part of a larger mission, a mission to elevate, inspire, and to lead. We can continue to follow the same path and hope for better results, or we can take a stand for lasting change, committing ourselves to a vision that will transform this district from the inside out. This was the picture I used during my district-wide meeting back in September, and that was the title of my presentation. We sat in the Spalding Auditorium with over 700 staff and talked about the importance of evolving to meet new challenges and adapting strategies to create meaningful, lasting impact. This serves as a reminder that success in education and in building a thriving district is not just about maintaining the status quo or relying on past methods. Instead, it's about embracing innovative approaches, adapting to the needs of the children and staff in our community, and creating a flexible, resilient environment that can respond to change effectively. Change for the sake of it is never good. But as we've seen from our achievement data during my last report to the superintendent, change is clearly inevitable. My commitment to you and this community is that we will break away from the cycle of reactionary responses and instead take a proactive stance to build a legacy of sustained progress. The investments we make today are the foundations that our children will stand on tomorrow. This is the path forward, and I welcome any questions.
Any questions? Yes, Councilor Sullivan.
Always me, thank you.
Almost,
Your
I
Honor.
didn't call you director this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for that presentation. Well, first question is, do you want a grant writer? Yeah,
We definitely want
everyone.
a writer.
This money this is a one-time? How often does this money come in?
So what I think Mr. Sullivan had mentioned that we currently have 3.2 million that's hit our account now. We do have a total of 5.7 that will come in that we should spend in the next 5 years. And the plan for these positions and the maintenance of the equipment that I just went over will carry us through the 5 years.
Through the 5. That was really my question was, I think the awakening that municipalities across the country are coming into is funds like ARPA. Things that came in are not self-sustaining funds. So the concept is it would cover that period you said, and then after that, it would just fold into the annual budget?
That is the plan, but we also have entitlement grants that we can look into as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Fontenot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually I had 3 questions, but Council Sullivan got the first 2 in already.
We gotta you guys sit next to each
Good
other.
job. When you talked about some equipment, like including cameras and vape detectors and that type of thing, exterior cameras, parking lot cameras?
Yes, that is included as well.
I'm not sure about today, but I know I went to Spalding when I graduated from Spalding. At that time, there were rumors that some of the kids used to go across to the parking lots and out into the pines to smoke various things. And I don't know if that's true or not, but if it was, maybe some cameras on that side of the street could help. I know there's been some issues with playgrounds over there and some older teenagers hanging out and disrupting the younger kids and stuff. So maybe cameras over in that direction would help out multiple things.
Before you answer that, I'll turn it over to the city manager because I know we have an update on that.
Okay.
Very good question, forward-thinking question.
Yes, thank you. So the city is also a recipient of Juul settlement funds and Altria settlement funds for the e-cigarette settlement. And there are some blind spots, so to speak, on the city property that's directly adjacent to school property, some of those areas that you mentioned. So we're actually collaborating with the school right now on investigating outdoor security cameras for those areas so that we can have comprehensive security system to address those. We're still working with staff internally, making sure project planning wise that makes sense and that it meets all of the requirements of the source of the funding. But you'll hear more on recommendations in the future from the city side, which we hope to include those.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good questions. Anyone else? Just a quick question. So if I got it right, this is 80-20, 80% positions, 20% equipment?
It's over 20%, but not quite 80% because even after this, we still have 1.5 million left over. So I would say probably about 60% positions right now and about 22% security enhancements.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Very nice. Just a constructive, if you have that presentation ahead of time, maybe you can turn it over to the city manager. That way we don't get in our packets ahead of time.
She did bill for the packet. We can do that.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, we're moving on to department reports, and the Chief Boudreau wanted to give us an update on police hiring.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you've seen in our monthly report, one of the things we talk about is personnel. We're a very personnel-heavy department to do our job and our mission. So just wanted to give a quick update on this. There's been some reports out there through social media as far as our staffing and so forth. Back earlier in the spring in May, we had 14 open positions. Obviously, that is a strain on our overall department. From that, I assigned a recruitment officer to go out there and be proactive. He put together a little report for us recently. From June to September, we've scheduled 131 interviews with potential people. Now, when you take out the people who no-showed, failed PTs, failed background investigations, failed polygraphs, brings that number way down. However, as we stand today, we have 7 open positions right now. We had 4 officers graduate from the academy just this past Friday. We had a New Hampshire certified officer who worked and got out of law enforcement for a couple of years, and he chose to come to Rochester. He could have picked any agency, went back to his old agency. He chose to come back here, or to come here, I should say. But more importantly, we recently had 2 officers who left Rochester who have come back to Rochester. They just started back, one this week and one last week. So they went out there, went to other agencies, and they decided after spending time that they wanted to come back and work here. So we're doing some things right. We are working hard to fill these positions, and we'll continue to work hard to fill them. We have backgrounds that are active right now for our open positions. I won't say all of them will make it through that background process, but we're active, we're aggressive, trying to recruit to fill all of our positions here. So.
Great. Any quick questions for the chief? All right, hearing none. There's a great presentation. Thanks for the recruiting and retention updates. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thanks, chief. Good work. All right. Any questions, city manager, on department reports? We do not have a non-public meeting. Without any objection, I adjourn the meeting. Okay.